As we continue to look at journeying farther into deep space, one of the more important things that's going to have to be a reality for crews is to be able to grow their own foods. Well, the good news is that's already actively happening on board the space station.
We want to see what people can create, so we conceived of a lab that could be shipped anywhere. And then we built it. So on the facade of the Media Lab is my lab that has about 30 points of sensing per plant. So if you know about the genome or genetics, this is the phenome, right? The phenomena. When you say, I like the strawberries from Mexico, you really like the strawberries from the climate that produce the expression that you like. So if you're coding climate, this much CO2, this much O2 creates a recipe, you're coding the expression of that plant, the nutrition of that plant, the size of that plant, the shape, the color, the texture.
We imagine a world where our food is no longer connected by planes, trains, and automobiles, and instead of shipping food, we are shipping data about our food so that you can grow anything that you want, anywhere that you want, that you could grow local from anywhere.
The future of food is bright, and the teams you just saw are working to build that future. This semester, our group researched one of those companies, Vilicus. Vilicus is a hydroponic sensor manufacturing company. Hydroponics is the practice of using water in a nutrient solution to grow plants, rather than traditional soil-based methods. Vilicus creates two types of sensors, water-based and aerial. Using the two sensors in the connected mobile and web app, users can track important factors affecting the growth of their plants, light intensity, pH and CO2 levels, as well as temperature and much more. Vilicus maintains a growing database of the perfect parameters necessary to grow specific plants hydroponically and can alert users when certain parameters are out of sync with the parameters required for optimum growth. Put simply, Vilicus helps hydroponic farmers control their growth environment and optimize their plants in the most efficient ways.
Welcome to Felix's home. He lives in a small rural area where they don't have access to many amenities, but he does have his own... Wait! The garden's on fire! Oh no, you never know what can happen when you're gardening by yourself.
As Felix was surveying the land, we decided to ask him a few questions about his experience thus far.
Felix, look at me. Felix, did you do this?
No.
Felix, do you want to do a new system of gardening?
Yes.
Okay, well, let's go.
Alright, so here is a hydroponic system that Ignacio has. He bought it from Vilicus. It's a fully functioning hydroponic system, and those little black boxes you see are the Vilicus sensors that we've talked about before. These Vilicus sensors are capable of camera and computer vision that measure the light intensity, the photo period, the light spectrum, as well as the air temperature, air humidity, and CO2 parts per million. The water package, as you can see, some of these pieces of water have black boxes in them as well, measure the pH as well as the water temperature and the water level. Here are little close-ups. And so with the mobile app, then you can view a dashboard that tells you what you need to do to keep your plants healthy and living.
The Vilicus team has considerable experience in the agriculture technology industry and came together to build this company after working at a hydroponic company together. The four started Vilicus 6 months ago with the intention of creating a new product and eventually selling the company to Scott's Miracle-Gro. After working in the industry and understanding the pain of not knowing the condition of their plants, they were able to quickly iterate and come up with several prototypes of their sensors. We will talk briefly about their systems before describing their production cycle and control environment.
Vilicus recently transitioned from using Google Suite to using QuickBooks for their accounting information system. While Google suited their needs for the first few months, they quickly found QuickBooks as a much better option due to its ease of use, simple dashboard, and flexibility to grow as the company grows. They use QuickBooks to track major administrative expenses like payroll and rent, along with all of their R&D costs, which are separated into 3 major buckets: camera and computer vision, sensor technology, and plant biology. While they don't yet have any custom forms, reports, or standard operating procedures, QuickBooks includes the functionality to standardize all of these, and Vilicus intends to use this feature as they acquire more customers and grow their company.
Vilicus's production cycle can be explained in 3 phases. Their first phase was product design, in which they used computer-aided design and prototyping to create their first product. The second phase is their current production cycle, where they gather all of the materials and build their sensors manually. The bill of materials for their sensors includes approximately 100 different pieces and can take a considerable amount of time to assemble. The third and final phase will be mass production. What would mass production for Villicus look like? You may be thinking it's something like this. But really, it will be more like this. Okay, maybe not exactly like this, but because the market for hydroponics is so small, there will never be a demand for a large-scale factory. However, they will have to hire more employees to create a human assembly line as they expand. Villicus also hopes to cut some of their production costs by building all of their sensor components in-house rather than buying separate processors, sensors, and parts.
We asked about how Villicus segregates duties and found the following. In terms of custody, all three main employees, Dan, Rich, and Jake, have physical access to assets and cash and have the ability to purchase goods and use the company account. For authorization, Dan, as the CEO, approves all of the big purchases and company decisions. One other person must also authorize decisions and payments, such as assigning checks and payroll. All of the record keeping and transaction tracking is done by Dan, but all three have access to this information, and Dan delivers a report on financials every other week after running payroll. Overall, Dan and the Villicus team's general philosophy towards controls at their current early stage is that transparency offers a lot of control.
When everyone is on the same page and sharing information, the likelihood of a team member committing fraud or a mistake going unnoticed is much less.
Dan explained that they plan to be very transparent at the early stage and incorporate more formal controls and segregation of duties as they scale and as they employ more people and collect more sensitive data and important information.
After evaluating all of the company's controls, we identified the following threats and came up with the following recommendations to address these concerns.
Our first concern is the segregation of duties. While the company is young and is necessary for each team member to hold several different responsibilities, we believe that it's important for them to segregate duties from the beginning, and more so as they continue to grow.
To address the main control risk concerning custody of assets at present, we would recommend that Dan have somebody other than himself process his reimbursement checks.
And I'm thinking two is better than one.
After addressing this potential threat, our general recommendation would be to continue segregating duties and responsibilities as the company grows and as more employees are acquired.
Our second recommendation concerns external security procedures. In order to combat any attacks targeting their future collections of data, we recommend that the company employ several layers of security, including encryption, firewalls, better restriction of physical access, and again, a greater segregation of duties.
Finally, we asked Dan what kind of controls Scott's Miracle-Gro has and how Villicus, if sold, would be integrated into their control environment.
As a large enterprise, Scott's has many internal controls in place with controls for approvals, audits, signing, dating, documenting, record keeping, and much more.
As Villicus would become a part of Scott's Miracle-Gro, if they sold to them, Villicus would have to adopt all of Scott's standard operating procedures and controls.
As they continue towards their eventual sale to Scott's, we also recommend that the company begins instituting the same controls that Scott's currently has in place to make the transition smoother and to decrease the chance of a control exposure during the acquisition and transition phase.
Hi, I'm Captain America, here to talk to you about one of the most valuable traits a soldier or student can have,